Hello and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and today I'm joined by Jide. Jide, how are you, bro?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Yeah, good. I mean, before we get into a packed week of boxing, I think the first thing we got to do is address the tragic news that occurred yesterday with the sudden and tragic death of Ricky Hatton. I mean, he was a boxing legend. It's a shame, it's a tragedy. I'm very shocked, very sad to hear his passing. If for those of you that are listening, you probably know who Ricky Hatton is. Ricky Hatton was probably one of the reasons why you got involved in watching or you getting involved in doing boxing itself. He was one of the biggest boxing British stars that we've had up there with Amir Khan, Anthony Joshua, Carl Froch, David Hay. This is a guy that beat Costa Tszyu, who was a pound for pound level fighter, in his own hometown, knocked him out and took his belts. He went to America, had so much success, and had that big, huge fight with obviously Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. One of my first memories when it comes to boxing with Ricky Hatton was always the Mayweather fight because it was such a huge event. And at the time, I was around 7, 8 years old. When you're that age, you don't understand big sporting events. You don't understand why people get involved and why people are so passionate about it. My dad was watching it and he was involved. He was watching a lot of the build up, and he actually stayed up to watch the fight itself, and I stayed up with him. Um, and watching him fight was one of my first memories of boxing, and it's a shame to see him to lose him at such a young age. Jay, what's your earliest memories of Ricky Hatton?
Yeah, my earliest memory of Hatton was when I was in school and he was fighting Floyd, and that was such a big storyline. Like again, those times I was more casual. I was still a fan of boxing. Still a fan of Roy Jones Jr. and all them stuff there, but I was still quite casual. And it was through Hatton that I discovered Mayweather. And I remember in school, you just had all the kids saying, "This Hatton's gonna do him. Hatton's gonna do him." So I was just going around looking at clips of Hatton to see, all right, is this guy actually gonna do it? And I remember that's when HBO 24/7 was really a thing, and the storyline and the montage it made me think, wow, he might actually do it. Obviously, I wanted Floyd to win, but I was thinking, wow, he could actually do it, and I think he was the first guy to make me become, I would say, go down the path of being a hardcore boxing fan. And yeah, I always appreciate how, and he's one of the British boxing legends full stop. Had a great career. It's just a shame to hear what happened to him. But yeah, man, his legacy will never be forgotten.
Yeah, and if you're a young fan listening, or you're someone that hasn't really been has been involved in boxing more recently than looking at in the past, Ricky was there before YouTube, but he was just there before the social media era kind
Yep.
of blew up. But he was one of the guys that a rarity in British boxing to see, because he went over to America and he had a lot of success there, and he became a crossover star not only in Britain, but also America. They knew a lot about him. That's how the Manny Pacquiao and the Floyd Mayweather fights happen. And how many people can sit there and say that they fought Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, but also how many people can say that they became a unified champion and also a champion in two weight classes, and they beat a pound for pound number 3 ranked fighter. Not many. Ricky was a star. Ricky was loved by loads of people. I mean, the amount of fans he had, especially when he went to America, and they all flew over just to see him. It was clear to see that he was loved by everyone. And yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to his family. And again, it's such a tragedy, especially for the box, such a big loss for the boxing community. Um, but we move on to what happened on this Saturday night or Sunday night, where Crawford and Canelo fought, and Crawford basically schooled Canelo in another bit loss for Canelo against a big fight and a better technical fighter. It was a proper schooling. I mean, when I was counting the rounds, I gave Canelo maximum of 3. Generous, you could give him 4 rounds, but he was nowhere in that fight, and he was getting schooled, especially down towards the later rounds. What a big result for Crawford, becoming a 3 division undisputed champion, having one of the biggest names on his record in Canelo, um, and putting on a performance where it wasn't like he just boxed on the back foot and just moved around and made Canelo look stupid. He made Canelo look stupid on the outside, on the inside, everywhere. He outfought him. He outmanned him. He he outboxed him. He outfought. He did everything. It was in every department. He was much better. Um, Jide, Crawford's your guy. Crawford's the guy you've always been backing for quite a while. Were you shocked by this result, and what does this mean for Terence Crawford?
Bro, I was shocked, man. Like you said, Crawford's my guy, but this was the first time I've ever picked against Crawford. Again, like I always pick Crawford because I truly believe he is what he says he is. He's obviously proved to everyone he's who he says he is. But I just thought a natural 147 pounder moving up to 168 really. He's gonna outbox Canelo early, but the extra weight would eventually slow him down, and one of those chopping body shots from Canelo will eventually get him. But that's not what happened. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of him. Like I'm his friend. Like he's my brother. Like bro, I was so happy. Like that day, I was calling people at 6 a.m. Was it 6 7 a.m. and saying, did you watch this? Did you see this? This is one of the biggest boxing accomplishments um in recent memory. And I hate what's going on right now in social media of people trying to downplay Canelo and downplay his career because this was a huge win. This is something Sugar Ray Leonard attempted and failed. This is something the likes of Floyd Mayweather didn't even bother to try. This is something Sugar Ray Robinson attempted, although super middleweight wasn't around them times. He went straight to like heavyweight, and he failed. Like what Crawford's done has crazy historical precedent. Like it's not something you will see. And this isn't, oh, I went up to super middleweight to fight a random champion. No, this is the man at super middleweight. This is the guy. This is what self belief is. This is like you can make if you can make. I always say that the top 10 of fighters of all time, whoever you decide to have there, you can make an argument for all of them to be number one. Crawford is in that mix. I'm not saying he's number one, but you can make an argument for Crawford, Terence Crawford, be number one. You can make an argument that he's got greater accomplishment than Sugar Ray Leonard. Sugar Ray Leonard went up to super middleweight and won a title, but it was a joke title. I forgot who he fought. It was some next guy on a vacant belt, some basically a bum. So to me, I don't really count that. And then he got his ass whooped by Tommy Hearns in a rematch. But what Crawford did is he went there, he sought the best guy. He didn't ask for no advantages, no none of this. Oh, you got to wear this glove. The ring size got to be this size. No, it's like I'm the challenger. I'm coming to fight you, and he put the beats on Canelo, like going it round by round. First round I gave Canelo. I'm not gonna say every single round, but early it was Canelo. But then you can see after like round three. Crawford's just it's like, yeah, I know what I gotta do here. And he just turned the screw. And what he did that is so smart is whenever Canelo threw his chopping shots, then one shot, Crawford countered with a 3 or 4 punch combo. It was never one punches. And that startled Canelo. And he used his reach, he used his two-handed power. He didn't sit on his punches. It was more light on his feet, on the ball of his feet, catching and shooting. It was a masterful performance. Like you said, front foot. He was great. Like he was pushing Canelo back at times. On the back foot, bro, lateral movement. Like I said, punch, catching and shooting whenever Canelo threw shots, making Canelo fall on himself with his feet, trying to get inside, and then countering him with nice little uppercuts. Like, bro, it was a punch perfect performance. This is why I'm like, this. I've seen Canelo lose. I've seen people cook Canelo. The last person that cooked Canelo was Bivol, but you can say Bivol is bigger than him naturally. It's a light heavyweight. Canelo bit off more than he can chew. This is more impressive than the Bivol performance because I didn't expect this from Crawford. Like I said, I'm a Crawford guy. I never bet against Crawford. This fight, I was like, this might be a step too far. Not because I don't think he's better than Canelo. I just thought the size, the it's new, it's not fought in a year. I just thought all these things is gonna he's 37, 38 years old. I thought all these things are gonna catch up to him, but nah, man. Nah, Crawford is my goat. He is the ambassador of boxing. This is his era, alongside Usyk, and you could argue Inoue. This is his era. He is number one. Like in when they say, "Oh, who's better, him or Floyd?" Yes, he's in that conversation. He is in that conversation. It's up to people to decide who they want to have, if they want to do that or not. But I don't want to hear people dismissing it. You can have any of them. You can decide, yeah, Floyd is still the best ever, whatever you got going on. But you can't say Crawford doesn't deserve to be in that conversation. He is in that conversation. He's probably the most skilled switch hitter I've ever seen. I can't think of a switch hitter better than him in boxing history. It's gone to a point people think he's better as a southpaw. He's naturally right-handed. His left hand is so good. Like that counter he threw on Canelo where he caught it, jabbed him, then he threw a check left hook and caught him flush while he's throwing the punching motion. How do you do that with your weaker hand? It makes no sense how good this guy is at boxing. But yeah, man, I'm rambling on. Like, I'm so proud of him. This guy has brought the love and joy of boxing to me. Like, I hope the next generation, this is the guy they look up to and they try to emulate.
It was a good rant, and it's nothing different from the Spence win in terms of how important that win is for uh, Crawford. This is arguably more important than the Spence win for Crawford's career, his legacy, and where he ends. And of course, when we have a big Crawford win, we have to get the expert Crawford and analyst in Samps on. Samps, how are you, bro?
I'm all good, man. I'm all blessed. How you guys?
Yeah, good. How's your weekend, bro?
Boy, another
We lost you there.
unsuccessful hate watch.
All we
Hello?
got was hate watch. This guy, you're
Hello?
underwater.
Speak. Let me hear.
Yo,
Yeah,
yo.
it's better now.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll say another unsuccessful hate watch. No, but I'm joking. I actually wanted Crawford to win. I didn't think he would win, but I did want him to win. Like, obviously, as a big Spence fan, what he done to Spence was beyond devastating, and I'm still dealing with the grief of it. But we move past that to support a man that wants to chase greatness to that degree, and I was rooting for Crawford. I did want him to win. I didn't see how he was gonna win. Like I understand being a better boxer and just having like so many skills in his pocket to utilize. But ultimately, I just thought Canelo is still Canelo, and people are disrespecting Canelo, to be honest with you. And Canelo's going to show why, a good little man just doesn't beat, a great little, yeah, doesn't beat a good big man. But unfortunately, what we saw was a great little man absolutely spelt to us a good bigger man, essentially. But I don't want to disrespect Crawford. Canelo, so sorry, and I think Canelo does deserve all the credit because his legacy, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely stamped, sealed, and like no, nothing could taint that. So let's let's rather than put Canelo down, just really, really hail up Crawford. And even as a big original Mayweather fan, PBC pundit, whatever you want to call it, honestly, Crawford overflows for me. Like that's TBE. That is TBE because he went out there, no stipulations, no rehydrations, no ring sizes, like nothing. He's gone out there, and ever since I started my hate campaign, since the Crawford Spence like the lead up in God knows what year that was, he's actually flogged everyone. He's literally flogged everyone through the weight classes on their terms, all the odds against him, and just flogged everyone. Like there's you can't like for the actual Crawford haters. I need to understand what angle you're gonna try and run because there's literally nothing. He's silenced everyone. Like he's done everything that they said he wouldn't do. So at this point, you just gotta say, "Well done, my guy." So yeah, well done, my guy.
Fair enough. Yeah, even I agree. I think I'm in the same boat where when I predicted this, I thought Canelo would do more than enough to just get the decision. But I wanted Bud to win simply because the way Canelo's recent career has been going, if you compare it to Bud's been stepping up. Although he's only fought fights once a year, it's not against nobody. He's been stepping up weight classes and fighting the guys that are the champions there. Whereas Canelo's everyone kind of recognizes he's taken the foot off his gas in the last couple of years with the opponents like, the likes of Belanga, John Ryder, etc. But it was a great performance. And one thing it was always interesting to see was, even under fire from Canelo, Crawford kept his shape. He was countering him close. He was throwing combinations, and he was sticking it to him. And he wasn't just backing away. He was going at him at times, and he hurt him. He wobbled him at times. Not wobbled him like properly, but buzzed it. There were shots that Canelo didn't like. It was a proper, pure boxing display, but also showed how much more of a natural-born fighter Crawford is compared to anyone in and around him, that he can stay in those high-fire situations and still be able to fire back and keep himself defensively responsible too. He will take shots. That Crawford's not this elite defensive master boxer, but he's a master boxer in the sense he can nullify as much as possible. He can take away as much as possible, and he can land as much as possible. He was very accurate. He was very sharp. I mean, I'm quite surprised that a guy who doesn't fight that often is as sharp as he is. But when you do the hard sparring that he does often, it probably keeps that sharpness and while preserving his body at the same time. He didn't look out of weight. Canelo never really got to bully him at any point in that career, in that fight, and that's who Crawford is. He's a guy that's never been bullied throughout his entire career. The magnitude of the win is so huge, where this is a win. This Canelo win is a win that boxing historians and fans will be talking about for decades, and it's the first name that will come up when you talk about Crawford. You talk about the Canelo win first. You want to talk about Spence first, you talk about Canelo first. And when you think about this era, when you think about this generation, two names will come up primarily: Terence Crawford and Alexander Usyk. They've separated themselves as the best of their era. And right now, you have to say that Bud is the best. You have to say he's the number one pound for pound, because he's done the impossible. He's beaten the pound for pound level guy who's also at 2 weight classes higher, and he looked comfortable in there. He didn't look out of depth. He didn't get by on a win or anything like that. He looked comfortable. They looked like they could have fought 20 rounds, and he probably would have stopped Canelo by the end of the 20th. It was a proper good performance, and it's sometimes breathtaking to see, because for years we've known how good Crawford is. He was always the guy that you looked at, like, the skills were just there. But even when he performs on these levels and still showcases the same skills, you're blown away by how he does it. It was fun to watch. It was informative to watch. It was educational, because you could take a lot away, especially if you're a young boxer. You can look at some of the stuff that Crawford did and take away and apply it to your own game. It's really good high-level boxing. But one thing I want to add, that it's not taking away from Crawford's win. It's more about how Canelo has become as a fighter, and why I think what's next for Canelo should be retirement or the Jake Paul fight. In the last couple fights, Canelo's changed from a guy who's had good boxing, wasn't the best elite boxer, but had a good enough boxing where even against better technical fighters, he could close the distance, land his shots. But against Bivol, against Triple G, against Skull, against Munguia, against Belanga, against Crawford, he's regressed in his skill. I mean, that's not taking anything away from Crawford, being able to come up 2 weight classes and still beat the number one guy there. It doesn't matter if he's regressed, you beat it. And Crawford's no spring chicken himself. He's 37. He's older than Canelo. But Canelo was doing things like he wasn't using his jab much. I mean, if you look at the jab stats, his jab stats were how much he threw and tried to land were very low. And he's throwing those big shots from way far out. And guys like Crawford can recognize that easily. You're throwing that shot from far out. I'm going to adapt to that and move from it. He had good success with the left hook to the body when he was throwing it to Crawford, but Crawford adjusts to it. I was saying when I was previewing the Inoue fight, I said the difference between Inoue and Akhmadaliev is Inoue will adjust mid-fight, and that's the difference between an elite fighter and a world-class fighter. And that's what Crawford did to Canelo. Canelo rarely adjusted in that fight, and Crawford did. Crawford made the adjustments necessary. When Canelo started throwing that lead hook after 2 or 3 rounds of success, Crawford started throwing his own combinations to push Canelo back, because he knew Canelo puts a lot into that left hook, but he doesn't defend himself with his right hand, and he threw that left hand to counter. Those are the levels we're seeing. Crawford's an elite fighter. He showed the levels there that I'm elite, you're world class, and here's the difference. And this is why you can't get close. And you saw Canelo get frustrated so many times in that fight. He couldn't figure a way out. Even when he went back to the corner, they couldn't come up with any proper tactical advice to break down Crawford. He was just trying, and when he was landing moments, he thought that would help, and it wasn't. And he was trying to do the same things over and over again. And so it was just all him. It was so impressive to see from Crawford. I mean, I didn't think you could get a better performance than the Spence fight. I think the Spence fight was probably his best performance, and probably it won't be any better. But I think this is a close second. Like, that was really good. You could even argue it was better, just in terms of the skills show.
Yeah, I think the Spence fight was his best performance because it was a perfect blend of brutality coupled with elite boxing. Like, he destroyed Spence. With Canelo, he outclassed Canelo. Do you get what I mean? He bamboozled Canelo. He just showed I'm better than you. While with Spence, he just beat the crap out of him. Like, it was a flogging. So I'll say Spence is still his best performance, but Canelo's not far behind. While Canelo's by far his biggest win.
Yeah, by far. It's the biggest win. And in terms of actual performances, it's actually one of his better performances. Like, I haven't, skill-wise, he was much more polished in this fight than he was in the Madrimov fight, than he was in, like, the Gamboa fight, than he was in the Indongo fight, than he was in the Porter fight. He was much more polished in this fight. It was so good to watch. I mean, yeah, it's going to be very interesting once he retires, and I think that's very soon, and we'll talk about what's next, because we will have those conversations about where he ranks, not just of this era, but across all boxers of all time. But what is next? For me, I think there's two options for Crawford. You either fight Lara at 160 as a farewell fight in Omaha, and that's it, your retirement fight, and you become a sixth division champion, which is brilliant. It's another accolade to add to his legacy, and he can definitely beat Erislandy Lara. Or he retires, and because you can't get a bigger high than this. The amount of money he got, the magnitude of the event, how he fought. Sometimes you should just retire on that big high. It doesn't get any better. You can't chase anything any better. With Canelo, like I said, two options: retire or chase Jake Paul. That Jake Paul fight will make you a lot of money. It will generate a lot of interest. People are going to watch it. We'll watch it. Let's be real. We'll watch it if he fights Jake Paul, because we want to see him beat the crap out of Jake Paul. Maybe that could be it, especially on the May weekend for next year. But yeah, I think those are the two options. What do you think's next for Crawford and Canelo?
If I'm Crawford, I take the Lara fight. It's not like you said. The only reason why I wouldn't want to take the Lara fight is would be a dead fight, because Lara wouldn't want to engage, and Crawford would be the stalker. It won't be a dead fight, but it'll be like a sparring match, right?
Yeah,
But I think it's more so the fact that it will be in his hometown will be a good farewell fight for him to have as a last fight in front of his hometown where he started and where he finished. So the storyline with that would be amazing. If I'm him, that's what I'll do. Like you said, regarding Canelo, after Bivol beat him, it's like it's like something within him died that night, where he stopped trying to be the best. Like, before Bivol, Canelo truly believed he was the best. That's the difference. Because he believed he was the best, he went out there to try to prove it. I still believe the Canelo that fought before Bivol, or the Canelo that fought Bivol, that would have been a much better fight than what we got last night. He would have it would have gone hell to leather. The pride, it wouldn't let himself go out like that. Again, I'm not saying he went out like he gave up and shit, but like you said, he didn't. It's like when he realized he couldn't do nothing with Bud, it's like he just accepted, okay, I've lost here. I feel like the Canelo of 5, 6 years ago, I don't know if it's that Mexican juice. I don't know. I don't know what it is. He would go out of his way. to try eke out a win. Like we saw against Golovkin when he was down in that fight. You see how he just rallied and he found a way. Like today, the Bud fight is like he's just like, okay, cool, he's better than me. That's good. And I feel like he started that with Bivol. When he couldn't get Bivol out of there and couldn't hurt him, couldn't put a dent into him, and Bivol kept coming back, he's just like, oh shit, yeah, I can't beat this guy. And I feel like since then, and that's why if you see his trajectory since then, it's not really been fighting the best guys. So yeah, if I'm Canelo, he's saying he still wants to fight on, but I don't want him to go out sad like past greats. If I'm him, I retire. But he still wants to fight on. Just beat up Jake Paul. Um, maybe have a farewell fight in Mexico and then call it a day. But I know him; he's prideful. He doesn't like this. He's another one of those guys where boxing's his life. That's his buzz. R.I.P. Ricky Hatton, but he was the same way in terms of when he didn't have boxing anymore, he didn't know what to do. And I feel like Canelo is one of those guys where he wouldn't know what to do with himself if he's not boxing. And I feel like that's why he's just lingering on. So I hope he finds another passion. He finds something he can put his energy to because I feel like he's been fighting since he's 15. The wear and tear is there. Like, just call it a day. You're one of the greatest fighters of this generation. You're the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. You're one of the greatest fighters of all time. You've had an amazing career, man. Just have one or two more fights and call it a day. Don't be fucking around with the Shirazes and all these guys because they are hungry. They will lick your head off. Or like Crawford couldn't lick your head off because you're a bigger guy, but these guys coming through, they're bigger. They're bigger than you. Like they will take your head off. So yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think people underestimate how special of a mentality you have to be able to make hundreds of millions, and still be able to wake up every day, go train twice a day, push your body to the limits, and want to get in the ring with someone who wants to basically kill you, and you do that as a job and keep doing that. The fact that Canelo's been able to do it, despite being a multi-millionaire for over a decade or two, is a credit to him. And same thing to Floyd. It's a credit to these guys that they're able to keep going at the higher levels despite having all this money. Because it's easy for anyone to get a big amount of money and just mentally switch off from these type of things because you made it. You've done what you needed to do. But yeah, I think it's been quite clear for a while that Canelo's regressed. Even before this, we were mentioning when we were talking about the Skull fight, or we were talking about Belango, Munguia, whatnot, that he has clearly regressed. He clearly is in a position in his career where he's not looking for the best fights. He's looking for the biggest fights that he can make that has less risk. And he thought this was one of them. And yeah, it's time to retire before you get hurt. And he's one of the toughest fighters there is. But you also don't want to see him in there if part of him isn't all there, if that makes sense. He's not all 100% in there anymore. And he seems content with this loss, which makes sense because he's made so much money. He can be content with this loss. But we don't know. Obviously, we'll see what the future holds for both men. We'll speak about the event. Obviously, it was the first proper Netflix fight. Obviously, you had Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, but that was an exhibition. This is the first proper TKO boxing card that was put on. Jide, your thoughts on not the fights, the event, and the production?
I think it was good. I still feel like boxing has this issue where we make things drag out too long. There's no reason why that had to start at 6 a.m. I remember I was saying in the group chat, bro, I was falling asleep. I was struggling. Bro, I fell asleep. I remember I woke up when it was like round 4. I was so angry. So I had to watch the first 4 rounds again. But it doesn't need to. I get it's Vegas, innit? But we used to complain about Mayweather fights being at 5 a.m. Why the hell is this at 6 a.m.? They need to sort that, bro. They need to UFC. When I used to stay up for UFC fights, it was never 6 a.m., bro. Like
Yeah, it
we
was.
would watch. No, which one was 6 a.m., bro? I used to.
Whenever they were in Vegas, it used to finish around 6 a.m.
Yeah, it finished at 6. I'm saying this started at 6.
Yeah, but it's the same principle. UFC also had that issue where they used to go quite long into there because what they used to do was the pacing was quick, but they used to stack like 100 fights on the prelims just to get through it all. So they used to go quite long as well. And boxing used to actually end by like 4 a.m.
And that's what it needs to get back to. I'm sorry, it needs to get back to that. We have lives. We have lives, and I get it.
Wait, hold on.
They're making.
I can't remember any boxing event recently that's ended that's started at 6. This is the first one that I've
We
seen.
haven't really had a big one in Vegas recently. Think about it. All the big ones is either being in Saudi
Well, but
Arabia.
even Tank wasn't Tank and Roach in Vegas.
No, I don't think it was in Vegas, bro.
I
don't think that was in Vegas. But yeah, point is that 6 a.m., 5 a.m. shit, they need to cut it out. I get I'm in the UK, so they don't really care about me. But I feel like other fight fans would appreciate it if boxing doesn't start at 11 p.m. on their side or 12 a.m. Like, we can do better. Bro, yeah. Like, Shiesty, trust me, 6 a.m. was insane. Like, I was suffering. But yeah, apart from that, the production's good. I feel like Netflix should be in boxing. They're a good alternative to the Zone. They have a better way. They have a better platform than the Zone. I prefer their UI to the Zone. I'm still on the Zone, but the point I'm making here is you have such a massive subscriber base. You can really grow the sport. Netflix can really, really grow boxing. This Netflix and the Zone could be the new form of cable TV for boxing. I like how Antonio Tarver, he was very good, he was very knowledgeable. Andre Ward, although the guy annoys me, he is very sharp. Like, his commenting was 10 out of 10. Max Kellerman needs to stop glazing Dana White. That was very uncomfortable. Like, I'm glad he's back, but bro, allow it. But yeah, I think they did a great job. My only issue is the the scheduling, man. They gotta do it better. Like the Billy fight before, that was an amazing fight. Like, that was an amazing fight. Again, I was asleep when I watched it. When I watched it, I was asleep, so I didn't watch it live. I had to watch it back. So yeah, man, that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, my thoughts on the event was the prelims were quite decent. You had obviously, like in terms of on paper, were quite decent. Reito Sutsumi, again, the brother of Hayato Sutsumi, looked really good. Someone that everyone should keep an eye out on. Very young Japanese fighter, getting the knockout, very explosive, very violent. There was Ivan Ditchko versus Jermaine Franklin. It was a snooze fest. Don't really want to see the two guys again. I can't blame the matchmakers. No one really expected them to both look ass. Bohojuk versus Adams too was a good fight that they made. Adams really is that guy that Bohojuk can't get past. Bohojuk was really one-dimensional. I think he's bought into a bit of his own hype, and that's why he couldn't adjust against Adams and really got outboxed and outworked. The fights, like you said, yeah. And Billy Martinez was like watching Goku versus Vegeta. These men just kept punching each other up, going machine for machine. That was a really violent fight. I wouldn't mind. I would want to watch the rematch for that because a draw justifies, in my opinion, is quite justified between that. I mean, it's one of those fights where you can watch it again and again, and you won't get bored. The Vargas Walsh fight again. It didn't deliver to what a lot of people thought it would. I didn't think it would be that violent. I thought it would be what we got, and Walsh just comes through. But those are two guys that don't really, you look at and you go, I'm not confident you win a world title properly. I'm not confident you take the scene properly like that. And then obviously Crawford Canelo was a great fight to watch. So the fights were decent. Look, at the end of the day, if you on paper make good fights, you never know what fights are going to actually deliver or not. The production, like you said, again, it's great that it's on pay-per-view. It's on Netflix and not on pay-per-view, so it's all free to watch. Netflix is such a huge subscriber base. They have like hundreds of millions. So anyone at any point can tune in and watch it. And, guys like Mbili and Martinez will definitely benefit from that because, a lot of casual fans will watch that and go, hey, I want to see those guys again because that was fun to watch. But the production did have some issues. The filler time, it didn't need to go up until 6 a.m. Even, boxing has issues when it comes to production filler, and they had a lot of the same thing. And Dana says he's trying to get rid of it, but at the same time, he does the same things. Max Kellerman, like you said, look, I get he was, kind of blacklisted by Stephen A. Smith and basically lost all his foothold into sports because of what happened between him and Stephen A. But the way he's acting now, he's trying to make sure he doesn't get kicked off. He's glazing everyone. I mean, that guy's knees must be hurting from this weekend, the amount of glazing he was doing. I mean, he might have to like change. He might have to get some knee pads or anything for the next Netflix event. Hearing things like on commentary, like, oh, they should bring, we should talk to Dana and get a BMF belt. Shut up. What are you doing? This is like respect yourself. You used to be a decent boxing commentator. Now you're talking about BMF belts and Max Holloway. Like, I watch UFC a lot. You guys know I watch the UFC a lot. Even I found that shit cringy. Like, keep the two separate. You don't have to glaze the UFC and Dana like that. Everyone knows Dana's got issues. It's not a secret. The way you're glazing him is crazy. And then going up to Crawford, and let's be real, you can have your favorites and whatnot, but when you're reporting and presenting and whatnot, you gotta be as objective as possible. And going, you're the GOAT of this era, you're the GOAT of this era, when that doesn't make sense, because you can't be the greatest of all time of an era. You have to be the greatest of an era. That's fine. You can't be the greatest of all time of an era. They're just two contradictory statements. Well done, you idiot. And then the pausing in between. I mean, that was a horror show from Max Kellerman. It's quite clear he's doing everything he can so he doesn't lose a job. So he'll become a shill for whoever. John Anik was interesting to listen to because usually he's always on the UFC broadcast. He's got good energy, but I just don't think it's a great fit. But I can't knock him for that. Was it anything special? No. In fact, it was quite hard to watch. It's hard to listen to. Sorry, but most boxing commentary is anyway because most people are shills. So did Dana change anything by bringing this in? No. And I'm going to tell you now, Dana will try to change things, obviously with the Ali Act and everything. But in terms of how the production and everything goes, he either makes it exactly similar to the UFC, which is how you kill stars, because you look at the UFC now, there are no stars there, or he can't change anything. But yeah, it was okay. I'm not the biggest fan of it, obviously. But over the next afternoon over, Naoya Inoue defended his undisputed super bantamweight titles against Akhmadaliev in a fight that was just pure dominance. I mean, Akhmadaliev is a guy that called out Inoue for 2 years, called him a duck. He even tweeted, which he deleted afterwards. He tweeted, "If you don't fight me, you might as well go and kill yourself." You had Eddie Hearn basically saying he's disappointed in Inoue. Inoue's a duck and this and that and whatever. Cool, good. You got the fight. Well done. You promoted and you got the fight that you wanted. Show up. Akhmadaliev didn't show up at all. He showed up in that first round. He felt the power and the speed, and he couldn't get any shot off. He wasn't in distance to get any proper shots off like that and follow up with anything. And he just shelled up for a lot of the fights and tried to just pick his moments. Whenever a moment came by, that was it. He tried to do as best as he could to get a shot off, but that was it. He was comfortable losing that fight. It was very disappointing because Inoue, I'm going to come on and praise for Inoue what he done well. But Akhmadaliev, that was your shot at undisputed. It was one of the biggest fights you're ever going to get. And if you win, you get a rematch, you get even more money. And, it was a very meek performance. You tried, but you didn't try enough. That's you're not going to get this opportunity again. Inoue is busy. He's going to go fight Picasso in December, and if he wins that, he's going to go fight Nakatani in April. What are you going to do? You waited 2 years to get this shot, and this is what you do. This is what you put on. This is the type of effort you put in. Come on, man. That was poor. He was poor, and I get he doesn't want to get knocked out. He's a tough fighter. That guy's a tough dude. He took a lot of shots, especially body shots and shots to the head. And you could see today and yesterday. His head and face were marked up, but he also held himself back a bit because he didn't want to get hit even more. And it's quite disappointing because you've done all of this, you've gotten the fight, and you really let yourself down there. Inoue was brilliant. I thought he took what I expected him to do was more of a box heavy approach, use his speed to be a bit more defensive, not get reckless, find the timing better than just trying to force the knockdowns. And he really went to the body well. I thought those were some brilliant body work that he was getting to Akhmadaliev, and it really kept him at bay. He was showing the fans and himself, I'm not just a monster, I'm also very smart, calculated, and a great boxer. And I think if this is a shift in his style, this will carry him over for the next couple of years, because that's the way you limit the amount of danger you're in. You prolong your longevity and you're able to stay at the top for longer. Because he's a very smart boxer. He's very quick. Of all those weight classes, he's the quickest guy there, and he can utilize that to his advantage. A very good performance, I thought, and he didn't need to knock out Akhmadaliev. Tried to, but Akhmadaliev wasn't there to open up a lot often. So he was trying to find his spots, but Akhmadaliev was tough as well. But it was a good performance, and it was one of those performances where you're like, okay, now I understand why he signed to fight Picasso in December. This is basically a sparring session for him. He'll be ready in December, and then again in April. And he called out Nakatani in the ring when Nakatani was trying to leave the arena, and basically saying, look, that's the fight, that's the big fight we're gonna get on as soon as the whole Riyadh season December card is done. But good performance from Inoue, again reminding people that he's not just this brute monster. He's very calculated and very smart. And I think a lot of people start to rethink their Inoue and Nakatani predictions because that performance was really good in terms of his boxing ability. What do you think, Jide?
Yeah, that was an awesome performance by Inoue. Like you said, he let MJ know that all that you're ducking me was nonsense, and it's similar to when how like the bar was going on and saying, U6, how can you be a Christian and all this crap and all that nonsense. It was very similar. It's very crass. And MJ's a good fighter. He is a very good fighter. But the difference in levels, the speed difference, like there were times where MJ is a southpaw, so his right hand is his jab hand. Inoue's right straight would land. They'll throw it the same time. And the way a jab is positioned, the jab should be landing first. The right straight by Inoue would land before MJ's jab could even get to its mark. That's how stark the speed difference is. And Inoue beat the absolute dog shit out of him. It was an elite boxing performance. He didn't stay too much in the pocket to trade. There were times where he did and he got hit. I feel like Inoue will get hit based on how he fights. But the speed, the power, the precision, the spites, the combinations. There was that sequence, I think it was around 6 or 7, where he went to the body like 4 times. That's just, bruh. Inoue is an elite fighter, man. He's cleaned out his division in like just over 2 years. He's fought everyone, and now it's just a Nakatani fight in the horizon. He's another one. It's because he's in a smaller weight, so he's not as known, and he's also in Asia, so he's not as revered. But he's another tier 1 guy in this era. Like he runs the baby weights. If you are anyone and you're anyone in and around that weight, you're Inoue's the guy. Inoue's your goat. And MJ, I'll give him credit for being durable. That's all he showed, but nothing was going. And anytime MJ had success, like just like with Crawford and Canelo, anytime there was a little bit of success, Inoue comes back with like 5, 6 punch sequence and was just throwing it clean straight down the middle. Nice little check hooks, uppercuts sneaking in here and there. Bruh, I'm very shocked about MJ survived that fight. But yeah, man, anyway, he's an elite boxer. Supreme talent, man.
Yeah, it's one of those performances where you start to rethink where is this guy? Because a lot of people thought after the Cardenas fight and especially with the Neri fight with how he got dropped, where are we starting to see the big decline? But here we didn't really see much of a decline in this fight. It was more of a change in focus, and that's really key, especially for an elite boxer to be able to change in how you approach fights. And it was really good, and we're going to see him again in December. I mean, to see a pound for pound level fighter fight 4 times in a year is rare. I don't think anyone's ever done it before, other than obviously when you go back and hit time, when you go back in time to those days that were fighting newspaper fights where they were having so many fights a year. But to do it in this modern era, fight 4 times a year is already a rarity in itself. But to be a pound for pound level guy and fighting 4 times will be is an insane feat, and he's going to do that in December. Um, I mean, what's your thoughts now on Inoue and Nakatani? What do you think? What would your initial assessment be after seeing that?
So initially, I thought Nakatani was giving away problems. Like I said, for me, it was getting hit. It didn't look as devastating as he used to. And I expected that because, again, in those lighter weights, 30 years old. And what Inoue is now is 32. So he's really an old man. He's the equivalent of Terence Crawford right now, relative to his weight classes 30, 31, 32. those are really old ages. So I thought, okay, he's on a slide, and he's gonna fight a tall, rangy, elite boxer in Nakatani. But now seeing and that Inoue performance, I'm switching back to Inoue, man. I think Inoue will do him. The explosiveness, the adjustments he can do in a fight, and I feel like in a dog fight, I'll take Inoue, man. I feel like Inoue, he showed us if he's ready, if he feels like you're getting to him, he's ready to bite his gum shield and just have a firefight with you. And I just don't see Nakatani doing well in a firefight with Inoue. Like he will get hit. He cannot keep Inoue off of him for 12 rounds. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Inoue in that fight.
Fair enough. And I think, yeah, seeing this shift in how he fights really gives an extra added bonus to Inoue. I think he's, like I said, his speed is going to be the biggest factor between him and Nakatani. He's going to get hit. Nakatani's going to get hit. And I think it will be so fun to watch that fight, especially um, to see Nakatani will come back in December at Super Bantamweight. It'll be his first fight. That will kind of be a warm up to that weight, and then fight Inoue. It'll be huge. It's going to be. It's probably the best fight you can make in boxing right now. I don't think there's a better fight. There's a singular better fight you can make in boxing right now than Inoue and Nakatani. And it's going to be huge in Japan. It's going to sell out so much. So I can't wait for that. But yeah, I think that covers everything for this week. Is there anything else that I've kind of missed?
No, I don't think so.
No, I think I covered it. So let us know your thoughts in the comments if there's anything we missed or anything you want us to cover. Also, your thoughts as well. We'll highlight in the next episode as well. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, go over to YouTube at Ringside Fracas and like and subscribe, please. And share the video with all your friends that you know are going to that enjoy boxing and enjoy hearing us talk about it. And yeah, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Fracas. Subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, keep joining us, keep following us on this journey and as we go through boxing. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.